Joe Waxman, and I am here with Nicola McCarthy. And she has been active in the macrobiotic community, teaching and counseling along with her husband for a long time now. And she lives in England. So, hi, Nicola, how are you?
Hello, Joe. I'm very well, thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. I'm really happy about that. And as always, why don't you share your story with us about how it all began for you in your macrobiotic journey?
Oh my goodness, have you got a long time? Where did it all begin?
Yeah,
So how far do you want me to go back?
it's up to you. Whatever you feel like sharing, really.
Yeah, well, I guess really, I mean, going back to really, I suppose, starting off as a child and just talking really about about health, and obviously because that's what we're talking about here. Um, I was thought of as a healthy child, as far as kind of health goes. I everybody thought, she's a healthy kid. I had the normal amounts of colds and flu and sickness bugs and upset tummies. But really, when I look back now and I think about that, I wasn't healthy at all. I had many, many allergies, and allergies really plagued me throughout my teens, to the point where I'd come out in hives all over my body if I got hot. So I was exempt from any sports. If I got, hot and bothered, I'd come out in, this rash all over my body. And, I had, glandular fever and all these kind of immune things, we don't really think about it when you're a kid and your parents, you're just like, oh, you're like the rest of the children. But, as time went on, those allergies actually got worse. And, I was a very sensitive child as well. I was very empathic. And, for those of you that don't even know what empathic is, it's, I was very feeling. I really, I could feel other people's emotions. I could feel other people's pain. But I didn't understand that at all. I just thought I was the same as everybody else. Nobody talked about that, way back then. And I struggled a lot with that, really, that sensitivity, very, very sensitive child. And then, as time went on, I had, a couple of children, and they kind of led me on my path and taught me a lot, as children do. And my son, who when he was born, he was very delayed in talking, and in fact, when he started school, I suppose he must have been 4.5, 5 years old. He could barely talk, and really nobody much understood him. And I thought, it's just not right. It's just not normal. But nobody was picking anything up, and he was very, very, very hyperactive. So he'd get very, very excited, and it would really be a struggle to get him to bed at night, and to calm him down. And little by little, I kind of started to think, well, I'm sure this has so much more to do with food, actually, than anything else. And I mean, this is, well, he's nearly 30. So this is quite some years ago. And, at that time, there was nothing about food, really. I mean, a little bit about hyperactivity, with kind of, orange flavorings. That was as far as it went, Nobody was really talking about sugar or anything, really. So I kind of was just searching around and really trying my hardest to sort of understand it, because I could really see that, some things would really change. He'd become a lot calmer if I was making my own meal, making him something from scratch, and, there was no sugars in it and no colorings and things like this. So gradually I kind of worked out that it was food, set him a plan, and he really started to calm down. But actually, somebody said to me, actually, Nicola, it's you that needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't like to be told that, do we? You know, we don't want to be like, you know, you don't want to reflect on yourself. It's, you can help other people, but actually to do this yourself is another thing. So I kind of like ignored them. And then I was kind of on my own sort of healing journey, if you like. I was very interested in, wow, pretty much anything that was natural. So I became a reflexologist. I was very interested in, you know, aromatherapy and essential oils and crystals. And my spiritual work was really kicking off at that time as well. You know, I was working with patients, and I'd be getting spiritual messages. You know, I'm a medium as well, so I kind of I get a lot of spiritual things that, you know, I just, I didn't really understand it, to be quite honest with you, and I really felt that I wanted some guidance, and I found somebody who lived very local to me, actually, who was a pretty famous medium, actually, and he kind of really guided me, really helped me. And it was, I think, probably going back to around 2001 that I went and did a workshop with him, and it was actually there that I met my husband. So he's got a very interesting story. You must talk to him as well.
Yeah. Sure.
He's very interesting. He was actually a pharmacist. I'll let him tell you his story, but he was a pharmacist who was more interested in natural things than pharmacy, and there's a big, you know, reason for that. And we kind of immediately saw that we had work to do together, and he was vegan. And this was like a big deal to me. I mean, this was back in 2001, so, like, you know, 19 years ago. I didn't even know how to say vegan, you know, is it vegan, you know, there was no books, I didn't even really know what it was. And he'd been vegan for like 3 years. So I was like, oh my God, you know, this is going to really change my life, you know. And I was pretty stubborn, and I didn't really want to change. To me, I was drinking green tea, and I thought I was really super healthy, you know, and I'd stopped eating big animals, but I was still eating, you know, chicken and, you know, and I don't know, things that didn't quite look like meat, you know. And he was like, I can't have meat in my fridge, you know. So little by little, I changed, and actually my health got worse. So you know, I was pretty wide with my balance, yeah. So I was eating meat, and I was eating a lot of, well, I say to people, you know, I was made of chocolate. You know, I really loved sugar. Sugar was me. And, you know, but when you take away one side of that balance, as you'll know, you know, you're just left with the yin part. So I took away all of the meat and the kind of like real strong foods, and I just was eating lots and lots of sugar. And his vegan diet was lots and lots of spices. He kind of ate more Ayurvedic. So what happened, I got really quite sick quite quickly. I became very, very weak. We had a child together, and during the pregnancy, I was really spiraling downwards, and I didn't understand why, because, from his perspective, he was a very, very active. So, marathon runner, he used to run up mountains for fun, which I didn't. So that was kind of his balance for his Ayurvedic diet. And I had like a mouthful of ulcers, like, hundreds of ulcers on my tongue. I couldn't speak. I had allergies, like crazy allergies. I would wake up in the morning and I couldn't even see. My eyes were just like huge, great, puffy, and I didn't know what was going on. It was really scary, because there was no information about diet. You go to see your medical practitioner or your doctor in this country, and they didn't know anything about food, and there was nothing really around, in books or anything. So you were just kind of like fumbling around in the dark. And we went on, so we had our daughter. We kind of did it the other way around. We had our daughter, and actually she was only just a few days old, and I remember I was breastfeeding her, and all of a sudden my tongue started to swell up. And this was like a major turning point, actually, in my life, really, because as my tongue started to swell, I mean, it became huge. I mean, it was literally, yeah. I couldn't breathe. I was choking. We were far enough away from a hospital to know that if it continued, I wouldn't make it. So my husband, he's a pharmacist, and at the time we still had lots of, medicines in the house. And he was just emptying, capsules onto my tongue and putting ice around my face. And I was terrified, I really thought that was it. And fortunately it subsided and went away. But that really left me terrified. I didn't know what had caused it. I think I just got to the peak of my health crisis. So it was at that point I then really knew that I needed to make some changes, big changes. And it was in fact on honeymoon that we found, or David had taken many books, as he always does. He's an avid reader and researcher, and he'd read and studied a lot about diet, but this book was about macrobiotics. And as he was reading it, he was just like, I can't believe this. This is it. This is the answer. This is everything that I've studied, plus what was missing. And I just thought, oh my God, here we go again. What else? What's he going to make me eat? And we were actually in Greece on honeymoon. And I was done. My whole body was covered in mosquito bites. I mean, I must have had hundreds, and I was just crying all the time. I was like, I want to go home. I just, I can't bear this. I couldn't cope. I was really emotional, really, and of course, my blood was so delicious. It was so acid, The mosquitoes thought they had, great meal. And so he just said, well, let's just go and buy a camping stove, and we'll start cooking our own food from this book, And they were like real simple things. Brown rice, miso soup, and just, just plain vegetables. And I thought, my God, I can't live on this. What's the point? what's the point of life if you can't eat, you know, like I liked flavorful, you know, food. And so I really resonate with people when they're starting macrobiotics, you know. I really get, you know, when people really think, oh, what's the point? And he started cooking. He was so patient with me. And he started cooking these meals, and I was just really grateful, actually, that he was doing it for me, giving me these meals, and then literally meal by meal, I got stronger. I think really it was at the end of 2 weeks of eating this way, all of my allergies had subsided. Yeah. I mean, another massive thing for me was joint pain. I had like arthritis. Mm-hmm. So I wore a back brace. I mean, I was in my 30s, you know, and that's like, it was crazy. I couldn't turn my neck, you know, I couldn't bend to pick my baby up off the ground. Everything went, you know, one by one, all of my health problems just disappeared. And we thought, wow, this is just like magic. It's just like magic. And from that point on, Joe, I couldn't look back, you know. But I thought, you know, if I'm going to do this, I really have to do this. You know, I'm quite, if I do something, I really have to, you know, really have to go into it and look into it. So at the time, actually, my husband's father was diagnosed with cancer, and we were looking for, you know, health answers, you know, something to help him. And it was just purely by, and it wasn't by chance. I think we looked up the Macrobiotic Association or something in Great Britain. And at the time there was somebody that was living very close by, Maria Gillett. I don't know if you know. Yeah. And she came and she cooked for us, and she was like, you know, teaching us a little bit. And she said, you know, you really need to go, and you need to go to Amsterdam. You need to go. There's a centre there. And so we did. My husband had, or together at the time, we had loads of pharmacies in the UK, and they were all moving towards more natural ways. You know, we were selling. People would come in with a cough, and David would say, no, you don't want a medicine. You want to rub this on your chest. You know, this oil, or you know, have some brown rice. You know, we'd have little whole food areas in each of the pharmacies. But we thought, you know, we've moving so far away from this now. We sold the business, and we went and studied. And that, at that point, that really changed my life. Really, completely. So yeah, that was kind of, that was really kind of it. So we went and studied with amazing teachers, you know, who I am forever grateful to, you know. So yeah, Adelbert and Week and Ellison.
Yeah.
So we I don't know how many times we traveled to Amsterdam, many times. And yeah, it just completely changed my life, I think. And every time that I went, Adelbert would say to me, you look younger. You know, apart from the fact that I was actually, you know, I was this kind of incredibly, you know, shrinking woman because, you know, I started off this size and then I was just shrinking every time that I saw him. So, yeah, that's kind of how we got to where we are now.
Oh, that's great. That's a great story. So you studied in Amsterdam, and what, you did the levels there?
We did the levels. We did the levels. We did every kind of everything. We did the weekend courses they did, you know, and then we did the weekend courses and then we went back and we did them again. Because, you know, it's like a book, you know, when you read a book, you can read it and then you can reread it, you know, 6 months later, and it's like a new book because, you know, you put things into practice.
Absolutely.
And then when you put them into practice, you know, then you're ready to move on to the next stage. And I think that was it. It was like a gradual process, you know, of change. And, you know, and I really, well, both of us, we completely changed. You know, our daughter, well, she's 18 actually next month. She's been pretty much macrobiotic her entire life. She doesn't really know anything else. And, you know, it all just comes so naturally to her, you know. It's not something really she's had to learn. Whereas for me, it was just all new, you know. But as I was learning, it was like, this is just, it's just, why isn't everybody taught this stuff? You know? It just makes so much logical sense, you know. And
right.
And like I started to change so in every way, like in every way. And it's really hard now to kind of like put yourself back in those shoes, you know, so many years on, you know, when you kind of like, you're doing interviews like this and you're talking about it and trying to remember, but it's like, you know, like, I don't know, sleep has changed, you know, my sleep, I go to bed now, I sleep all night and I wake up. You know, it's like restful sleep. You know, it used to be, you know, nightmares and kind of, you know, am I going to sleep tonight, you know, or anxiety. You know, I suffered a lot with anxiety and like panic attacks and depression, you know, and these are things actually that I see myself, you know, so many people suffer with, and actually they don't really ever talk about them because they just think, well, that's life, you know, that's what everybody suffers with, you know. But it doesn't have to be that way, and it really shouldn't be that way, you know. You know, and I don't know, I just learned so much about myself as well, you know, and I learned so much about relationships and people and, you know, and life, you know, and I just think I've grown so much as a person. When I look back now to, you know, how I was then, it was, you know, you grow, don't you? You grow so much from macrobiotics. But I guess you've been macrobiotic all your life, so, you know, you're like my daughter. It's so yeah, it's just in my blood now, and that's, you know, it's something that you once you've started, you can't go back. You can't.
Right.
You know, and if you eat out, you know, I say to people, well, yeah, of course we eat out. You know, we're no different to everybody else. You know, we still love to socialize. We still love to go out and have a break. But I can tell you, I feel absolutely rubbish afterwards.
So I'm curious. What you mentioned your empathic and psychic sensitivities. Did you notice a difference there after you switched to a macrobiotic diet?
Absolutely.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I really did. I mean, you know, before I met David, that's when it really started to get much more clear, I guess. So I was kind of, you know, in my early 30s, I guess. And I think for a lot of people, that's when, you know, things start to happen anyway. You've developed, you've got to a certain stage in your life, and I think, you know, spirit are ready to work with you. You know, you've grown up a bit and matured, and And I was doing a lot of body work with people, massage and, kinesiology. It's all kind of energy, all energy work. So I was really connecting with their energy.
Hmm.
And I just remember, this is like so vivid. Actually, I'll just tell you another little story. My kids had I've got two children, Jack and Beth, my two older kids. They'd started school, and all of a sudden everything was quiet in my life, and I guess, them upstairs, they were like, oh yeah, she's ready now, we'll start working with her. And I was always an artist, more of a creative person than, I'm dyslexic, and I never really liked school, anything to do with writing. It was like, nah, run away. But I had this like voice in my head just saying, pick up a pen, yeah, start
Mm.
writing.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
was like, go away, like, what is this? Like, this is weird. I thought, no, I've got to do whatever. So I picked up a pen, and literally it was like somebody was dictating to me,
Nice.
and I just started writing. And it was just the most beautiful, like, it makes me kind of go kind of goosey to think about it now. These were the most beautiful, wise words, yeah, full of just so much love. And I got to the end of this writing, and I just thought, wow, where has this come from? I had no idea about channeling. I didn't even know what it was, yeah.
Mm.
And I showed a close friend, and she said, Nicola, you didn't write this. And I said, no, I know I didn't, because there were words there that I didn't even know what they meant, Joe,
Ah.
And at that point I thought, this is it. I've got to start developing. Yeah. I've got to start doing something with this. And at the same time, I was changing my diet. So I'd stopped eating beef. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the bigger animals, I'd stopped eating. I couldn't eat pork anymore. I didn't even understand why. It was just a natural thing. I mean, I didn't think in my head, I want to go vegetarian. It was just, I can't eat them anymore.
Right.
I'd stopped eating dairy. So I stopped drinking. I never ate cheese anyway. But I stopped having butter and cheese, butter and milk. And I think I was just becoming clearer. But I was still having chocolate. So yeah, there was a bit of dairy. And then when I met David and I became vegan, and he was also really, really interested in spiritual things, we suddenly started doing all this work together. There's a massive, we've got a massive story. Like, we're very, very connected. We've got a lot of past lives together as well. Nice. As healers, and like, I remember, I've done all that. It's like, it's quite powerful. So yeah, just started developing, started doing what, and then life kind of, I don't say life got in the way, because life doesn't get in the way. Life happened. Yeah. I had baby, and I had two other children, and, it's really been kind of more the last sort of 5 years, I guess, that I've started doing more. So I do lots of readings for people, around the world by Zoom. Lots of psychic work, just advice, because it just seems to like happen naturally. It's just answers just come, very simply. I can channel for people, so it's just like, just guided kind of words and advice and help. And then mediumship, which is, you know, when past loved ones come through. So yeah, so I kind of shut that away from my macrobiotic work for a long time. I didn't really know how to use it in combination, to be truthful. You know, I wasn't taught the spiritual side with my macrobiotic practice.
Right.
It was, you know, a lot of you know, the cooking and the you know, the energy of the food, which I completely got. And, you know, obviously palm healing, which I loved. I mean, I'd done Reiki in the past, so that kind of like all came naturally as well. But the spiritual side was there for me, but it didn't seem to have a connection. So yeah, I kind of incorporate everything really in my work now. And you know, if I do emotional work with people as well, using something called emotional freedom technique, which is, it sounds, you know, very, you know, complicated, but again, it is just simply, you know, tapping on energy points, you know, and changing the way that we feel. There's nothing different to me about that. You know, it's all just part and parcel of what we do. So, so yeah, I think, you know, life is for learning. And I love, you know, well, I love 9-star key. That's kind of, I really love teaching 9-star key. And yeah, my last number is soil too. So, you know, I love learning and I love teaching. So there's always something that I'm learning, adding on, you know. So, but it always comes back to the core, which is, you know, our daily food, which at the end of the day is, I think, the most important thing.
Yeah, I always say that's where it begins. Doesn't end there, but it begins there.
Yeah.
So how long, so you were studying at the Kushi Institute for how many years with in Amsterdam before you felt confident to take it to the next step?
Well, I did the 3 levels, and I just had to start teaching. So I was teaching from my kitchen. And I think even before then, you know, even level 1, I was, you know, anybody that would listen, I'd tell them, you know, and that actually, for me was hard. Yeah. Because I wanted to tell everybody, you know, not everyone wants to listen.
Right.
And I really see that with my students, you know, that they leave so full of, you know, zest for life and kind of, you know, we've got the answer, which you have, but not everybody wants to hear that, you know, not everybody's ready. And, you know, I wasn't. So yeah, I mean, it was just, yeah, you can, and I think you just teach what you know, don't you? You know? You're not, it's nothing's wrong with that. You know, you teach what you know. And that's why I applaud Michelle, who was on, you know, Freedom Fairy, who was on another one of your
Williams.
interviews.
Yeah.
She's absolutely, you know, an inspiration, that girl. Amazing. She's going to go places. She really is. I wish I was living right next door to her. But, you know, we've never met in person, but she is, she's changed so much. You know, looking back at her YouTubes, you know, from years ago, and you do, you know, I look at photographs of me, you know, years ago, and I just see a different person. Yeah. Because every cell of your body changes. Yeah. Your thoughts, your beliefs, everything. You know, you become a different person.
So, yeah, that's all great. Sorry, I'm trying to organize my thoughts. What are you doing these days?
Okay, so so these days, so up until quite recently, we were teaching the levels. So we have Kushi Macrobiotic School UK, So we've got a website, which is very out of date now. Needs work on that, but it's basically got the, you get the gist of what we do on there. And we were teaching the levels, and doing like a 12-day program. So people would come and they would study with us for 12 days, which, I know in the past, like at the Cushy Institute, it would be like weeks, wouldn't it? People would just go there for like 6 weeks and just study, but that's a long time. Times are changing so fast.
Yeah.
And people, I think you really have to keep up with those changing times. That's all part of being macrobiotic and being flexible, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we were doing that, and then we were really noticing that people were finding it harder and harder to set aside 12 days. And in fact, what I was seeing was people getting really tired. That's a long time for like your brain to kind of, zone in on macrobiotics. And there's a lot of change going on in your body as well. We would cook, 3 meals a day for our students. And I mean, amazing. They'd leave new people. They'd have really have that experience.
Yeah.
But we were like, we think we've got to change this somehow. And then actually what happened, we got to the point where we knew we wanted to move abroad, and we moved to Ibiza, and we knew that we still wanted to teach. I mean, I think I will want to teach until the day I die. I mean, that's going to be in my blood forever. And David too, teaching together. And so we got to Ibiza and we started doing retreats. And so we'd, have people over and we'd teach macrobiotics and, and the other things that we were doing as well. And people would have a nice relaxing time. And we were doing coaching as well, like by video call. And then my daughter, who was living in the BVI, in the British Virgin Islands, she announced that she was expecting her first baby and that she was coming back to the UK. So I was like, I can't stay in Ibiza. I've got to come back and be with her. I've got to be near my daughter and my first grandchild. I just have to. Right. So we came back this past Christmas. So just 8 months ago. So we came back to the UK. So like lots of change actually in just a year. And we came back, and now we're like we're really settled. We've moved house, and we know that we want to teach. Of course, we've all been through this horrendous time of COVID-19. God. And that's brought with it lots of struggles, but also lots of opportunities, hasn't it? I think many people have found new ways of doing things, and it's forced us to do things that way. So we've helped lots of people coaching actually, which we've really, really enjoyed. So just helping people, by video call. I have thought, I can never teach people cooking, like this. But, I've just done the summer conference and did like a whole meal, and it worked really well. And other things have come from that too. So I'm like, you just do it, don't you? And we've had some amazing results actually with people who've found that really, really helpful. So I don't think there's any boundaries really. There's nothing to stop you from doing things. So really, I think what I want to do now is to start teaching something equivalent to the levels or something. I want to help people, I just want to get them started, and for people that we were having people that were traveling across the globe, you know. And you can't do that. You can't just leave your family and just, you know, come and disappear for 2 weeks. It's hard for many people. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's definitely on the cards, to start doing some teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And consultations, obviously, you know, for people that already know macrobiotics, or, you know, have a health condition and they just want some simple advice. Because, you know, you can always give, I always say, you know, you can make small changes and it can make big changes to your health,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even stop sugar, you know, stop sugar, have rice syrup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody that comes and works in my house, you know, they're always, you know, can we have a coffee? And I'm like, well, yeah, we've got coffee, but we don't have dairy and we don't have sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, and they all leave here like, what was the name of that sweetener again? And they all like, yeah, it's like, so you can really help people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great. I'm kind of curious. What is with your sort of sensitivities and inclinations towards the more energetic side of things? How do you feel about things in the world today? Are you know, sometimes I get worried that we're going to get a real sort of level of tyranny on the medical side of things with forced vaccinations and chips. And I don't know if you have any thoughts about any of that. It doesn't have to be specifically that, but I don't know. What is your take?
I just feel, Joe, that the world is incredibly out of balance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Our leaders are out of balance, let's face it. Yeah. You know, the kind of like the things that are being put in place, like here at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
we it's all about, you know, it's be healthy, but they're giving you 50% off of fast foods. So I just feel that there's this massive divide, you know, and it's becoming more extreme yin, more extreme yang. Yeah. So I see that with the people as well. So you've got, you know, and you see it with everything. So, you know, with the masks, you've got the people that are like, I am not wearing these. They're really, really bad for us. You know, then you've got the other people that are like, you have to wear them. And it's causing this kind of like this real friction between people, these fights. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing, there's no middle ground. There doesn't seem to be middle ground. It's like, and I think that's what's going to happen with food. You've got the people who are going fast food, and then you've got the people that are going extreme with, you know, with health, but they haven't found macrobiotics.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got this, and I get really emotional about it. And when I get really emotional, I absolutely 100% know it's something I've got to do. Because it's like, people don't know, you know, and I think it's amazing that people like you are doing what you're doing now.
Thanks.
Because the more people that can hear this stuff about macrobiotics, you know, it's unfortunate. That word is an unfortunate word. It's not sexy. I wish that, you know, it was just called great life, because like people would be drawn to that, wouldn't they? You know, when I heard the word macrobiotics, I thought it was kind of some weird diet, you know, that's my, and I remember that, you know.
Yeah.
And it conjures up all that kind of idea. And I think if people just knew that it was just the way to peace and happiness, you know, ultimate peace and happiness, you know, not just for us, but for the planet, you know. And I think there's so many passionate people who are, you know, looking at plastic in the oceans, you know, chemicals, fertilizers, you know, GMO, there's all that stuff. but they still don't connect it with food.
Right. Yeah.
And macrobiotics is the whole picture, isn't it? It's the whole thing. And, you know, it's not just food.
Mhm.
It's the health of the planet and the health
Yeah.
of everything, and the balance of the universe. And
Right.
it's just, so I think, you know, as we get nearer, as we're spiraling in, you know, and things are getting faster. I mean, I'm sure you feel that too. It's kind of, sometimes I wake up and I can hardly feel, I can almost feel like I can't take a breath, because I feel like I'm in this, it's just, this energy is so fast at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just think we've got so much work to do, you know.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely love for all the macrobiotic people to come together. And I know that, you know, everybody has their own, you know, slant, their own kind of idea on things, but we all, at the core, we all believe the same thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of us might have gone off and done, you know, I don't know, a specialized in something, you know. But we all eat the same way. We all were taught the same way by Michio, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, what he must be thinking now, I don't know.
I'm sure nobody knows. I mean, Micha's mind was beyond most people.
Yeah.
uh yeah, well that's all great to hear. Gosh, what else do you have? What else do you want to talk about? What else do you have to share?
What else do I have to share? Well, I think I think there's so much to be done for children. I think,
Uh-huh.
you know, I look at kids and I just think, I love teaching children, because
Uh-huh.
children are like a sponge. They don't question you. They
Mm-hmm.
just believe everything you say.
Mm-hmm.
And they're our future.
Yeah.
Let's face it, you know, they're our future, and they can make the changes.
Mm.
And you know, I think you don't have to even teach as such. It's just by leading by example. And I mean, my daughter, she'll hate me for saying this, because she's just like, it's very, very modest, you know. But she's changed so many people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't even tell them what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
They just like go, what is it you're doing, you know, because she's so kind of like, she's so grounded, so centered, so in balance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's never been to a medical practitioner in her life. Actually, she has once.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you this story actually, because I'm sure that some listeners will be asking, you know, about vaccinations. And, you know, do we vaccinate? Don't we vaccinate? And it's a hard question. It's a hard thing, you know. I vaccinated both of my children, my first children, because I didn't know any different. And I just believed what I was told and didn't question. I thought, you know, they're medical people. They know the answers. And so many people
Yeah.
think that, don't they? You know,
Of course.
they trust the medical profession. And then I had Kerry, and David was like, I'm a pharmacist. Don't do that.
Aha.
And
Wow.
and I was like, I think we should. I think we should vaccinate her. You know, how are you going to feel? You know, she gets some, you know, deadly chicken pox. No,
Right.
not chicken pox. I mean, they do vaccinate now, don't they, for chicken pox? Crazy. And he gave in, and I took her along. She had her first vaccine, and she vomited immediately, like what, literally as they gave it her. Yeah.
Mm.
So they gave her more vaccine. And the following day, she came up with molluscums. They're like warts all over her body.
Interesting. Wow.
And she had probably 200
Wow.
of these warts. Like, it was awful, because there's nothing that you can really do to get rid of them other than burn them off with like acid. So we paint them with acid. She was a baby. It was hideous. And I now know, I mean, from homeopathy, I studied homeopathy as well. I'm not a homeopath, but I studied homeopathy. And I now know, you know, you can really help with homeopathy with the after effects as well, you know, if you've vaccinated. And I know, you know, from a friend who's a homeopath, that this, you know, is a common thing that happens with children. And yeah, at that point, I just thought, and I think it was then that we found macrobiotics, literally at that point. And then she started just eating everything that we were eating. And yeah, I mean, touch wood, she's never had anything wrong with her. I mean, you know, maybe 2 or 3 colds. That's it, you know. And chickenpox as a child, and that's it. But you know, that's why I think, you know, that's a healthy child. You know, you see other kids now, and they're like asthma, bronchitis, allergies, eczema. You know, all these immune problems. You know, and just constantly sick. And I just think, oh my God, I would so love to talk to the mums, you know, and then talk to the kids, you know, because I think children are very adaptable, aren't they?
Yeah.
And children,
they should be.
Yeah, they should be. Yeah. And you can have such a brighter future, you know. I always say to people, you know, you can reach for your dream if you eat well, you know. You can achieve your dream. You can, like, I mean, there's not many, I don't know, I just kind of, sometimes I think I'm a bit crazy, but like, I just, you know, I just say, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's just do it, you know. I mean, we've done so many things. We've had, like, you know, a macrobiotic shop. We had the first shop in the UK that had no sugar. We were like, you know, we just shipped in everything from like Japan, and we had, I don't know, we must have had like 25 different types of miso. It's like, I don't know, it was just a real specialized shop, and we just loved it so much. But it was just too early, you know. It was just, I think if we did that now, it would probably work. But people were like, no sugar? They would come in and like, no sugar? What? Yeah, we thought, oh, well, we'll do a cafe too, you know, serve up sugar-free, you know, sugar-free cake. But people weren't ready for it.
That's a hard sell, I would think.
Yeah. Well, although, I don't know.
I guess there's a niche market for it.
Yeah.
You can find it.
Yeah. So yeah, we did that, and we did, like, you know, a macrobiotic mail order service for many years. And but you know, at the heart of it, really, all I wanted to do was teach, and I think that's probably the most important thing to do. You know, we've got some great macrobiotic clear spring in the UK.
Yeah.
Some great products, and you know, things are a lot easier to find now. So I think, yeah, I think people need teachers. They need to be taught.
Well, yeah, I totally agree, and I think it's great that for everyone like you and your husband who are speaking out, teaching, sharing this wonderful knowledge and awareness. That's great. And I just want to say a couple things that came up to my mind when you were talking about vaccines. Um, I was born and raised macrobiotic. I've never been vaccinated, not that I know of, unless they vaccinated me in school against my, I don't remember. I don't think I will. Not by choice anyway. I don't take any pills. The only vitamin I take is B12 occasionally. Um, that's it. I take no medicine, nothing. I don't go to the doctor. I take care of my health. I'm 44 years old. I don't think I always look good, but I have my health. I have my energy. I have my brain. I have my vitality. I don't have any issues.
That's amazing. And yeah, I mean, people, when you say this to people, and I say to people, I'm 53 now, and since that day that we changed our food on honeymoon, I haven't been back to a doctor. And exactly like you, I haven't even had a paracetamol, nothing. I feel very lucky as well, because I just feel very fortunate that I found what I found. And and I always say, well, my medicine, I haven't got a medicine cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
It's my kitchen cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
It's my food, is my medicine. If I've been out for, I don't know, if I've been out for a meal and I've had, I don't know what I'd have, like something sugary maybe, yeah, and I come home and I feel a bit acid, I know immediately what I can do to like bring balance back. I might not look so great the next day, but you kind of feel that and you know what to do. So yeah, you can come off of everything, and I just, we've helped so many people that have come off of medications that they've been on for years, people that are depressed, that have been on awful medication for depression that has just dulled their existence, like made them feel so rotten, and they've told me this, and then they've managed to be free of it, just by food. Yeah.
Food awareness of what you're putting in your body. So I don't want to carry on, even though it seems like we could keep talking for ages, but
yeah.
it's about an hour. This has been a great talk with you, Nicola.
Thank you.
You can check out my website, look around there. I got my blog posts. You can call me, book an appointment. Nicola, what final plugs do you have? Do you have any books or websites you want to mention? Well, you already mentioned one, but go ahead.
Okay. Oh, well, my books, I haven't got a book.
Okay.
I am writing a book, but yeah, I need to get my head down. Our website is The Key to Life. So that's the key, which is KI, to life. So key as in energy.
I'll put a link beneath this. So
.com, yeah. And cushymacrobioticschool.uk. And yeah, I'm very social. I'm very social. So I've got Instagram. So that's Nicola. That's NICOLA. .McCarthy. And that's MCCARTHY _ and Nicola McCarthy, yeah, Facebook too. But you can see it all if you go to the website. All the links are on there. So yeah, I mean, other plugs. Yeah, well, if anybody watching wants to come on a retreat, we're doing a retreat in December here in the UK. So that's kind of our first thing that we're doing. So hopefully COVID will all be gone, and well, I'm sure it's going to be going ahead anyway, in a beautiful 12th century manor house here in Dorset in the UK. So really looking forward to that. So macrobiotic retreat. So yeah, time to have a bit of fun.
Great.
But yeah,
Nicola,
in the meantime, if anybody's interested in, both myself and my husband, we generally work together because he's got kind of a medical background, so he understands drugs and medicines and conditions very, very well. Then we've both obviously got the macrobiotic knowledge, so we coach people. So coaching, consultations, a one-off call, whatever. We're pretty flexible, really. Teaching. And hopefully we'll have some courses up on our website very soon.
very good. Thank you. It's been
You.
great talking to you. And I'll put all this information.
Brilliant.
I'll touch it.
Thanks so much, Joe. Lovely to meet you.
You as well. Thanks.
Good luck. Good luck with what you're doing.
Thank
It's
you so much.
great.
Bye.